Welcome back to First Listen, everybody. My name is Tenthile, and I hope you're doing well today. This time on First Listen, kind of way out of the blue here, we checked out something totally different, something I didn't even expect to be getting into. We checked out Dierks Bentley's latest release, The Mountain. So I don't know much about him. I feel like I've heard about this country singer a little bit here and there, and didn't really get into a lot of his stuff, which is a shame, because in listening to this album, I actually really like it. We'll put that out there. I actually really like this album. And before I checked the album out, I checked out his previous release, and that was also pretty good. So it just goes to show you that you never know what you're going to get, especially with country music. But this one was really cool. So let's go ahead and get into the details. Let's get into this first listen. The album opens up with Burning Man and this upbeat strum of the guitar that just hits very nicely. And then we have that feature there by Brothers Osborne, who I actually have to look into a little bit more because that feature is really good. This whole thing just fits right. And it's a really awesome way to open an album. I can't stress it enough. Sometimes in country music, you have these generic instrumentals. This doesn't have that. It does have a couple of the standard things, some guitars and a little bit of twang in there. But the way this one opens up, it really set a beautiful set of expectations for me. It really set it all up. And I like when that happens because it makes me excited to see where an album like this, having no expectations anyway, is gonna go. Oh man, we are so feeling the Tom Petty, Mary Jane vibes on The Mountain, this title track of this album. And we're quickly shook from that and back into reality, realizing, no, this is not Tom Petty. That's fine. But this actually takes us on a different journey through all of this stuff about pushing through. I feel like I talk about this in everything, and maybe I'm just picking the right music to listen to, but this message of pushing through, basically it's like you hit a mountain. So climb it. You hit another one, keep going. I really like that because stuff just happens to you in life and you just got to push through it. So the way the guitar weaves in and out with the vocals and all of it just combines together so nicely. And that message, I mean, it's a good track. It's a really good track. It may be the best track on the album. Maybe that's why they went with this for the title of the album. Then we have a catchy cadence and rhythm on Living. A track that actually just is very easy to listen to. And that's really all there is here. There's a couple of these tracks, and I will talk about them when we get to them, but there's these tracks that kind of just sit in this album very nicely, very neatly, and you just listen to them, and there's not much else to say about them. Then we have some steady drum beat and some low vocals as we're brought in on Woman Amen, a track that really sets this vibe of being thankful. Now, more specifically in this track, being thankful for the person that has always been there for you, that has loved you and guided you and helped you become the person that you are. I kind of really relate to that message, to be thankful for the people around you that help you through life. And more specifically, my wife, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So when this track went through its whole progression, I was really on board with it. I was really in sync with it. And the thing that's really in sync is really the guitars and the vocals. They sync up so nicely. And man, I just really liked it. Sometimes you just really like a track, and that's enough. The banjo and the soft vocals on You Can't Bring Me Down are nice. But we had some na-na-nas, and that kind of doesn't sit well with me. These kind of vocalizations of, filler words. I have a huge problem with na-na-nas, oh-oh-ohs, whoa-whoa-whoas. They just don't sit well with me. And maybe that's just a personal thing, but on this track, they really don't sit well. More because the instrumentals are not quite up to par with some of the other tracks on here. They do fall a little bit flat for me. But it is still a good track. If you take those pieces out, you kind of dissect the rest of it, it actually is pretty good. It would have been better with those a little more tightened and tuned up, though. A nice kicking drum beat and some low, slow vocals on Nothing But the Stars. This track hit me perfectly square with that sadness. But we're talking about a different kind of sadness here. This is like the sadness of knowing that nothing really lasts forever, even when you want it to. Like it just can't. Everything ends in its own way, and hopefully it ends beautifully. Hopefully it's as beautiful as this track is. The beauty and the sadness in here is just fully accented and personified beautifully with the guitar, with the vocal delivery, the whole atmosphere that it just brings to life. And the guitar kind of weeping really had me almost in tears, and that's not unusual for when I listen to some emotional music to let my emotions take over, but this one was really tough to keep it all in and listen to the rest of it. It was very beautiful. And the claps set the pace for Goodbye in Telluride, a track that falls in with Living. I just don't know. Maybe it's like the clapping, the oh-ohs, the whoa-whoa-whoas I talked about a little bit earlier. That stuff just doesn't fit right. And I know it happens a little bit more in country music than it should, but maybe it shouldn't. Maybe this should be a thing of the past. Again, this track is just easy to listen to. And again, luckily enough, the claps don't stay consistent throughout. They kind of do fade in and fade out. But if they weren't there, it might be a better track. Very slow and purposeful piano mixed with these down-tempo vocals on My Religion. A track that really is saying, like, you are my religion. You, this person that is kind of been there for me. What a cool thing to kind of point to. Like, I love you so much. Like, you're what makes me get up every day. That's a beautiful, honest thing to put on an album. Not a lot of people would do that. And I feel like the guitar really sets the tone. It plucks very nicely and kind of just chimes in when it needs to. And it does a really heartfelt thing, this track. It makes you feel exactly what's going on. And what's not to like about that? More sadness and a slightly upbeat vibe on One Way. A track that talks about making some mistakes and kind of trying to get through it all and really just accepting everything. I feel like this track, outside of its message and, the lyrics and the whole arrangement, there's not a whole lot going on. it's just kind of this country vibe that we keep hearing on this release. And that's okay. It's not like an exceptional track. It's not a bad track. It's okay. And I think that is okay. And I really think Son of the Sun follows in the same groove here. It kind of stays in this safe zone. And really, this track is saved by that guitar that just slides in and just steals the show. If that wasn't there, maybe this track wouldn't hit quite right. It would kind of be a very rote thing and just like, but the guitar is there, saves the track, and I end up still liking it. More somber tones bring us in on Stranger to Myself. The somberness is accompanied by this very beautiful voice that I have to really look into. I love this accompaniment. It does a very nice job at completing the story. And it was really beautiful to listen to. I felt fully encapsulated in this song, kind of just wrapped up in it. And I really love when that happens, especially with a track like this on an album like this. You never know what you're going to get. I'll never stress that in country music these days. You never know what you're going to get. So when you get this kind of beauty, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing just to have it all happen. Oh, and the album goes a touch old school with Travelin' Light, that little feature there by Brandi Carlile. I think I'm pronouncing her name right. It's pretty much saved by her. She adds the rustic vibe, makes it very complete. That twang in that pluck in the beginning, I was like, oh no, they're not going to do one of these. Yeah, they did, but she saves it with her beautiful voice. Her delivery is very perfectly placed. Everything feels just right in sync. And I feel like if you took her out, this song would actually not be very good. So I love that she's on this one. And the album finishes with How I'm Going Out, a track that I actually genuinely really like. The message is perfect. The vocals are very measured, but I feel like it's what's in them. The lyrics just spoke to me so well. And it's perfect that this is right at the end, because it's this message of, this is how I'm going to go out. People are going to wonder what happened to that guy. And it's like, I'm going to make sure I go out on my terms, my way. And that really hit me just right. Just like this album, it hit me just right, at the right time, the right moment, the right frame of mind. I actually really like this album. There is a few tracks on here that I was a little bit critical of, and I think rightfully so. But it's still a very good album. It could be better. If we take out some of those tracks, and maybe this turns into a 9 or a 10 track album, I think I'd be saying a little bit different things here. Maybe singing a little higher praise, but it's a good one. I 100% think you should check it out. At least check it out. If you're looking for some new country, it can't hurt. So that's going to do it for this edition of First Listen. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Hit up the comments down below about what you thought about this album. You want us to review some other stuff, maybe hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next First Listen.